Right now, something is traveling toward Earth. It has been traveling for more than 10 billion years. It left before our sun existed, before this planet existed, before any atom in your body was arranged into anything you would recognize. 10.4 billion light years from where you are sitting, there is a mouth in space, a region where matter falls inward forever and never returns. The largest black hole humanity has ever confirmed. 66 billion times the mass of our sun. Old enough to have formed when the universe was still a child, and by every rule we have written to describe how the cosmos builds itself, it should not exist. Whether what is traveling toward you right now should worry you. That is what this video is going to answer. But not yet. Most people carry the wrong picture of a black hole, a silent sphere of darkness, a cold vacuum waiting in the void. For dormant black holes, that is accurate. TON 618 is not dormant. It is feeding. And when a black hole of this scale feeds, it does not hide in darkness. It screams in light. Imagine a storm of gas, shredded stars, and superheated plasma, millions of miles wide, spiraling inward toward a point of no return. The friction becomes so violent that the material reaches temperatures of billions of degrees. It ignites. It creates a blazing plasma storm that outshines everything around it in the universe. That ring of fire is called a quasar. A quasar is not a star. It is a cosmic funeral pyre. It is the blinding flash of dying matter being torn apart and swallowed by a supermassive black hole. The quasar is only what we can see. The true horror of TON 618 is what is hidden at its center, generating all of that apocalyptic power in silence. Here are the numbers, because this is where TON 618 stops being interesting and starts being frightening. Our sun is enormous by human standards. You could fit 1.3 million Earths inside it. By galactic standards, our sun is average, unremarkable, one of 400 billion stars in the Milky Way. Now take that average star and imagine 66 billion of them. Every star you have ever seen in the night sky, every constellation, the entire river of the Milky Way across the summer horizon, all of that mass poured into a single point, and it still would not be enough. There is no common word for a black hole this large. Astronomers had to invent one. They call it ultramassive. The event horizon of TON 618 extends 1,300 astronomical units in every direction. One astronomical unit is the distance from Earth to the Sun. Pluto, the farthest body in our solar system, orbits at 40 astronomical units. The event horizon of TON 618 reaches more than 30 times past Pluto, in every direction. You could line up dozens of full solar systems across it, Sun to Pluto to Sun to Pluto, and still have room left over. Light itself, the fastest thing in the universe, would take 2 weeks to travel from one side to the other. 2 weeks for a beam of light to cross a single hole in space. If you could somehow approach the edge of that event horizon, which you could not because you would be dead long before you got close, the sky would no longer look like a sky. It would look like a lens. Every galaxy in the observable universe would be smeared into a thin, bright ring above you. Below you, where the black hole waits, there would be nothing. No light, no texture, no surface. Just a perfect circle of absence so complete your brain would refuse to process it. Just the bottom of everything. Then TON 618 is actively feeding. A constant stream of gas, shredded stars, and superheated matter spirals inward, heated by friction to temperatures of millions of degrees before vanishing across the event horizon. Stars that wander too close do not fall in as solid objects. They are torn apart by tidal forces long before they reach the horizon, stretched into thin streamers of gas, spun into the disk, heated until they glow, then pulled under. At the scale of TON 618, entire star clusters could be devoured over a human lifetime. The quasar would barely register the meal. The luminosity of TON 618 is estimated at 140 trillion times the brightness of our sun. 140 trillion. If you place the entire Milky Way, like all 400 billion stars, next to TON 618, The Quasar would outshine the galaxy by a factor of several thousand. One object, brighter than thousands of galaxies combined. But the light is only a symptom. It is the visible surface of something much larger underneath. And once you run the math on what is underneath, the numbers turn impossible. A black hole with 66 billion solar masses should not have existed when the universe was only 4 billion years old. Black holes grow in two ways. They consume matter, and they merge with other black holes. Both processes take time. A stellar mass black hole feeding at the Eddington limit, the rate at which physics allows a black hole to feed, still doubles in mass only every few tens of millions of years. Run the math. You cannot grow a 66 billion solar mass black hole from a single collapsed star in a few billion years. There's not enough time. Not under the rules we wrote. So how did Ton 618 get this large? This fast? Astronomers have three theories. None of them are comfortable. The first is called direct collapse. In the early universe, giant clouds of primordial gas may have skipped star formation entirely. They collapsed directly into black holes of 100,000 solar masses each. Starting with a seed that large gives an enormous head start. The second is runaway mergers. In the crowded cores of the earliest galaxies, massive stars collided and formed black holes. Those black holes merged in rapid succession. Each merger pushed the growing monster into a higher weight class. The third theory, the one some researchers are beginning to take most seriously, is the most disturbing. Primordial black holes. If they existed, they formed in the first fractions of a second after the Big Bang, not from stars. Not from collapsing gas, they were born directly from the chaos of the earliest universe. In that version of the story, Ton 618 was never a thing that became a black hole. It was born one, in the first moments of existence. And it has been feeding ever since. We do not know which answer is correct. We may never know. What every model on the table forces us to admit is this. The early universe was building things that by our rules should have taken much longer to build. The rules we wrote to describe the cosmos, they start to look like rough drafts. Ton 618 is the hard evidence. And now we come back to the question this video started with, the one still sitting in the back of your mind. Is something from Ton 618 actually heading toward Earth? The answer has two parts. The first part is this. The object itself is not heading toward us. The expansion of the universe is carrying Ton 618 away from Earth faster every year. As you watch this, the physical distance between you and that black hole is growing. Ton 618 is retreating into the dark. The second part is harder. Nobody has ever actually seen Ton 618. Nobody ever will. What reaches our telescopes is light. Very old light. The photons arriving in our instruments tonight left Ton 618 when the universe itself was less than 4 billion years old. Earth did not exist. Our sun did not exist. There was no rock, no ocean, no atom in your body arranged into anything you would recognize. The light began its journey anyway. 10.5 billion years through expanding space, through galaxies and voids. Most of those photons were lost. A tiny fraction survived. They are arriving right now. At this exact moment, they are hitting mirrors on mountaintops all over this planet. Something from Ton 618 is heading toward Earth. It has been on its way for 10 billion years. We are not in danger from it. The math on that is clean, but danger is not the only way a thing can be frightening. Every photon that completes that trip carries the same message. The universe's largest known monster existed earlier than it should have. It grew faster than the physics we understand allows, and none of the theories we have closes that gap cleanly. We thought Ton 618 was the exception. Then James Webb launched. Since 2022, Webb has been photographing galaxies in the very early universe, objects from when the cosmos was only a few 100 million years old. At that age, our models say the universe should be full of small, chaotic, barely formed structures. Instead, Webb found black holes already grown to millions and billions of solar masses, in a universe that had barely started assembling its first real structures. Astronomers are calling them little red dots, active supermassive black holes, already impossibly large, already feeding, in a cosmos only a few 100 million years old. The deeper Webb looks, the more of them appear. Ton 618 is not unique. It is not the exception. It is simply the largest one we have confirmed so far. That record will fall. Somewhere in the archives of the sky, a larger one is already sitting on a photographic plate, waiting for the right astronomer to notice. And somewhere in that same early universe, Webb is photographing. Between the impossible galaxies, the structures that form too fast, and the monsters that should not exist. The physics we use to describe everything is no longer holding. That story is the one Webb is writing right now, and we will cover it next. Every equation we wrote to describe the universe was a rough draft. We did not know that when we wrote them. We know it now. Every night, as Ton 618's ancient light crosses the last few miles of its 10 billion year trip and enters the mirror of some telescope on some lonely mountaintop, a message keeps arriving. A message from a time before the Earth. Before the sun, before anything you have ever called home. The message is short. You do not know how big things can get. You do not know how fast they can grow. You do not know how much of the universe is still hidden from you. And somewhere in the darkness between galaxies, the sender is still out there. Still feeding, still growing, still sending. We are looking at a ghost that has not finished writing its story.